We're at Historic Ambassador House in Fishers, and let's take a tour. Come on in. It's a beautiful old house. We're going to have the curator give us a tour. Over here is where they have weddings. This is also part of, they call it Heritage Gardens. And weddings are held here. If you look over here, you see the tent where they hold receptions. And it's been beautifully restored. So let's walk up the brick walkway where obviously people have donated and gotten their name on bricks. I'll have to ask about that. Okay, it's Beth Clark, who is the curator and program director, right?
Yes, program and coordinator.
All right, of Ambassador House. And why don't you tell us about being registered on the National Register of Historic Places?
Yes, well, the house in 1985 was actually listed on the Indiana Register of Historic Places, but it was just recently, 3 years ago, I believe, listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
How cool.
Yes.
And I'll bet most people in Fishers aren't aware that we have a house that is on the National Register.
That is correct. People are often surprised when I tell them that I work now for the house. They say, well, that's nice, but where is it?
Right,
and
right.
I say, well, it's in Fishers, it's in Heritage Park, and it's been here actually now for over 10 years.
Wow.
And, yeah.
And it was taken from 96 in Ellisonville in half, and literally cut in half and brought and placed here.
That's correct. Yes, so the move happened. So actually 96, and it was cut in half, moved up Allisonville Road with the accompanying stone house, also, which is in the back of the property, and set on this new foundation that the house is on currently. And it had been terraced out, which we'll see in a minute for the lovely reception area and terraced garden area. So it was set on the foundation, and it took from 96 really until 2009 to complete all the refurbishment and restoration of the house.
And the house was old. I mean, it's a very old house. It was like a cabin, a log cabin, and built in 1820. Is that right?
About,
the cabin?
Yeah, in the 1820s. Not sure of the exact date, but they can say for sure when the land was purchased and people started living on the land, 1820s.
So we're talking almost 200 years old, the basis of this.
Exactly.
Why don't we go inside and give us a tour, because I believe we can see part of the log cabin.
Please come in. You can.
And beautiful floors. Have the floors been refurbished, or are they new?
Yes, there are some refurbished floors, restored floors, as well as new wood laid.
Wow.
But the pegs there that you see, the face nailing of the floors, is a traditional flooring technique that was maintained.
Okay, and I think I see log cabin there. Is that correct?
This is what we're standing. The house that you see from the outside was redone, and the log cabin was built upon in the 1895. Were these grand restorations to the original log cabin? Okay. And the original log cabin consisted of 4 rooms. The room that we're standing in, so you can see the remnants of some of the construction of the old home. The dining room, which is to our left here, and 2 upstairs rooms. So it's actually a 2-story log cabin with 4 rooms in it.
Okay.
And that log cabin was purchased in 1880 by Addison and India Harris. And the Harrises were a prominent family in Indianapolis, lived near the Lilies downtown Meridian Street. And Addison was an attorney, and his wife was a helper, socialite, educated woman.
And she had law degree, is that right? Or went to school?
She did study law. We have an oral history of her early life. Not a lot of documentation, but it's been said that she studied law and assisted her husband in his practice, but was never formally admitted to the bar. Okay. So she was not a practicing attorney.
Right. And he was an actual ambassador, which is where the house got
where the house got its name. So they purchased the house in 1880. In 1899, Mr. Harris was actually appointed ambassador to the Austria-Hungary. Okay. He served on the Senate in Indiana and was called up by the government. Okay. To serve as ambassador. So they used this house, then they bought it in 1880. used it as their summer retreat, their summer cabin to get away from the city. And in 1895, they completed some major restorations to the house. And additions.
And again, that was at 96 in Allisonville.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing is the house plus some additions to it, correct?
Correct, that's correct. So the 4 rooms of the log cabin plus the additions that the Harrises added in 1895. In this room, then they did things like add the mantelpiece.
Okay. So that's not original, or
it's original to the Harris's house.
Okay.
Oh, there was always a fireplace, but they built up the mantle around it and made the parlor into a more of a grand Victorian room, although it was a country retreat. It still served its purpose as a big room for entertaining.
Sure.
India Harris did love to have guests come visit her over the summer.
Okay.
So she opened the house. There's bedrooms upstairs. She had guests stay with her, and so she entertained.
Okay. All right.
Especially in the parlor. So
great.
Yeah, we can move in here. We can see some original log cabin features also. So this room would have served as the dining room. Probably in the original log cabin, and they also have served as hearth.
Sure.
There is an architectural detail here. The windows that left open to show you some of the
original
construction
log cabin. Okay. And is this mantle original, or
yes,
do you know? Okay.
It is.
All right.
It is, and
it's very pretty.
a lot of the brickwork also was preserved.
Okay.
And so a lot of the masonry was preserved. And actually the bricks that you see outside of the house were taken from the original site on 96 in Allisonville and replaced around the house.
And we noticed that some have names on them, so people are donating and getting work with their
If
name
you
on
want
it.
to support the house, or if you have a wedding here or a party here and you want to commemorate that, you can purchase a brick and it will be installed on the walkway.
Okay, great.
So this area may have been a stairway to the upstairs in the original 4-room cabin. And then this portion now begins the addition that the Harrises added on. So they added all of this, 2 upstairs bedrooms, the stairway, this little landing here.
That was a lot of renovation for them back in the
But they had the money and the desire and the ability to do it. So we can move over here now. This would have been used by the Harrises as their kitchen.
Okay.
You'll see some modern features because the house is in a unique position to serve not only as a historical home, but an event center. It's owned by the town of Fishers.
Right.
So it serves the purpose of an event center and community resource for the town. So we have to have some modern features like restroom and elevator, and the house is fully ADA accessible.
Right. Okay. Great.
But to the Harrises, this room would have served as their kitchen. India actually occupied the house on and off until her death in 1948.
Okay.
She lived quite a while.
Yeah,
she was almost 100.
Wow.
She was just shy of her 100th birthday.
Really?
When she died.
Oh, interesting.
And she occupied the house on and off. So they actually had indoor plumbing at that time.
Okay.
You know, in the 40s.
Right, absolutely. And she was instrumental in the IMA, was she not?
Yes. She's credited as one of the founders. There were others, of course, involved, but she helped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this right here, this area, probably served as the area where the cook stove originally would have been.
And is this the stone house?
That's a photo from, I believe, the 30s of the stone house, which you can see out this window here.
Okay.
And the stone house probably had various purposes. There's no one set function to the stone house that we know of, but it could have been a root cellar, a cold storage. It could have been a summer kitchen where a lot of cooking and the hot fires.
Sure. I think I heard that Mr. Harris was a hunter, and he may have.
He loved fishing.
Fishing. Okay, so he might have stored some of his catch there.
Absolutely, could have been used for. There was a barn on the original 96 and Allisonville property, but that structure was so dilapidated, and it wasn't worth saving, and there was really no plan to bring a barn here.
Sure. Okay.
But there was a barn because the land was farmed. The Harrises did farm the land with the help of a tenant farmer.
Right.
And so the stone house may also later have served as the lodging.
Sure.
For the tenant farmer.
I bet they'd be surprised to see what 96 and Allisonville is like today. probably the absolute one of the busiest areas in the whole city of Indianapolis, and it was probably nothing when they lived there.
Absolutely. And this area here was at one time a screened-in porch.
Oh, nice.
That the Harrises had.
Sure.
A nice little side porch for them. And so it's been turned into a side entry with the ADA ramp.
Okay.
And glassed in. But you can see that would have been an exterior window.
Sure.
For the original home.
Okay. Can we go upstairs?
Yes, absolutely. And I would just say in this room too, if we want to go downstairs later, you can see this is access to the basement area, which has modern function and modern kitchen, bathrooms.
Right. So you built that in order to be able to hold the events and that kind of thing here.
Exactly.
How many weddings do you do a year?
Well, right now we are booked every weekend.
Every weekend?
This summer.
Oh, that's great.
2014, and we're starting to book into June of 2015.
Oh, wow. So people really have embraced the house and using it like this.
Yes,
that's great.
It's been wonderful to see the publicity and see how it's growing.
Sure, that's great. Well, it's a beautiful home. It really is.
This is one of the original bedrooms of the log cabin.
Okay, okay.
And right now it has various purposes.
Sure.
We're still under construction in a sense.
And this is a picture of the Harrises.
Yes, you can see the Harrises here.
Yeah, and the organ? What is the organ?
The organ was a donation.
Okay, okay.
It was a donation from a Fisher's resident who thought it would be nice to have, and at the time we said yes. And it's actually very popular with photographers.
Oh, I bet it is.
Use it as a staging piece, and
sure.
It is period appropriate.
I was going to say period appropriate, absolutely.
And certainly people of the status of the Harrises, they would have, India probably knew how to play piano.
Sure.
Perhaps could play the organ,
right.
Appreciated music. So it's not out of...
No, not at all, no. And it's very cool.
This room is often used by the groomsmen to change.
Okay, all right.
When there's a wedding party here at the house. And yes, like I said, it was one of the original bedrooms. And when India... her status increased as she lived here more often. She actually used this room as her dressing room.
Oh, okay.
So this was her large walk-in closet. She had all her trunks with her many dresses and stored in this room. So this is where she
Did she have anybody to dress her? Like in Downton Abbey, somebody had actually happened to come in and get her dressed.
Potentially, yes. She did have two young ladies who were, one of them was the daughter of the tenant farmer, and the other was a family relation.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she was a niece, but she was in the family.
Okay.
And they would come and spend the summers with her, and these were their rooms.
Okay.
Right now they're offices for myself and for Kim Jones, who's the event rental sales representative. So she handles the weddings. But yeah, so they might have helped India get dressed. Sure. And they stayed in the little rooms, and she had the big room for her. Of course. And then this room was also of the original log cabin, and now is the bridal suite for today's purposes.
So brides get ready here.
Yes, they can get ready here. Pictures are taken. We have some Victorian furniture pieces here that were purchased by the house last year.
And is that fireplace original?
Yes.
So there was a fireplace in this room as a log cabin.
Correct. Yes.
Is that unusual to have a 2-story log cabin? That seems unusual to me.
No, not really.
Okay.
No, it just meant that the house was constructed out of logs as opposed to shingles, siding.
I'm thinking a Little House on the Prairie or something, I guess.
Well, it was a more elaborate, and of course it started with the base, and they added on to it. But
Okay. Well, it's a beautiful room. And was this the main bedroom?
Yes, this would have been the main bedroom where the Harrises would have stayed and shared. And so this bathroom, actually, it's in stages of completion. It's almost done. This was a bathroom and added.
Oh, okay.
Not in the log cabin.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And probably not even in the 1895 additions to the house. Although it was modernized then and had a bathtub in it in the 30s, 20s and 30s. So indoor plumbing was brought into the house.
Well, it's a beautiful house. It's been beautifully restored. Tell us about plans for the future? What you're gonna, other things you'll be doing with the house?
Well, we're going to continue, obviously, keeping the house up, and we're going to add some new things like lights to make interior improvements to the house. We have some more light fixtures to add. There's always upkeep, storm windows, especially on the west facing side of the house. We also, community-wise, have plans to hopefully work with Parks and Recreation, bring in some more community programs to the house.
Sure.
And that's the long-term goal, is to be able to offer not only a space for private rentals and weddings and parties, but also a space for a few more community events. And we do have a very thriving garden club, which does offer public lectures quite frequently on different gardening tips and gardening subjects.
Do I understand that you have some things that belong to the Harrises that are being stored somewhere that you might get back to the house?
Well, we hope that we might be able to talk with the Indianapolis Museum of Art. They had acquired a number of India's dresses and several other artifacts from her estate. However, when the house changed hands after India Harris passed away, a lot of the personal belongings were lost, were sold at estate sales because the Harrises had no children. So they actually left the house, or then the belongings in the house, to their lawyers. Who kept some and sold other things. So we really don't have many personal items of the Harrises, except we have a large photograph collection of pictures of the Harrises, pictures of the house, a lot of nice turn-of-the-century photos. And then, all right. So we're keeping those up.
June 1st, you have an open house?
Yes, that's correct. We have an open house June 1st.
Free?
Yes, free to the public. Some food, some music, and tours of the house, and there will be a photo exhibit. So we'll have some of those photos brought out of storage, framed, hung and displayed around the house for people to see the real history and transition of the house.
And then there's a wine event in September, and you have that every year as well?
That's our annual fundraiser to raise money just to keep up the maintenance on the house and continue interior improvements and exterior improvements. We will have to have a new roof put on the house eventually, so that's a major project coming up. The town helps with costs of upkeep, and since they own the house, they're responsible for a lot of maintenance on the house. However, we do also need to contribute. So our wine tasting September 6th, and that helps raise ticket sales, help the house.
All right, and the website, or where can they get information and buy tickets?
Our website is improving. We're going to be getting a new website soon, but currently we still have an operational one. It's www.ambassadorhouse.org.
Okay, very good. All right, Beth Clark, the curator of the Ambassador House and Heritage Gardens. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.